Hey rich girls, Kirby here, and I think we have a little bit to chat about, don't we? First things first, welcome back to the pod. I missed you guys. I took a little bit of a break for some personal reasons, which I will get into in just a sec, but the meat of today's episode is all about setting financial intentions for the new year so that 2025 can be your most financially successful year yet. And stay tuned until the end of the episode. I am unveiling a super fun project that I have been putting together for all of us to do together throughout 2025. And I literally cannot wait to share it with you. This is Rich Girl's Guide, where we demystify the world of personal finance to help you create a financially successful and fulfilling life. I'm Kirby, a former wealth management 9-to-5er, and before I get into today's episode, I have to confess a few things. My job titles have actually swapped around these past few months that I've ghosted the pod. If you've been following along since day one, then you know I quit my office job to pursue Rich Girl's Guide, my photography business, and most importantly, to spend more time with my two daughters while they still think I'm somewhat cool. Spoiler alert, my husband is the fun, cool, put together parent, but I still try, okay? Anyways, I have struggled to feel like I am doing enough, and I think this is an affliction that many women, if not all women, can relate to. I feel like I don't clean the house enough, that I don't spend enough quality time with my kids or my friends, that I'm not providing enough emotional support to my family, that I could be contributing more financially. Insert your own silly concern here. Now, logically, I know that this is all garbage and one person can only do so much without physically and emotionally breaking down. But logic is not always the driving force behind a person's behavior, is it? All of this is to say that about 5 months ago, I was feeling on top of the world. I had recently decided to quit alcohol for good. No more small little challenges, and I'll get to that topic at another time. We're not going into that today. I had a fully booked out fall photography schedule, which I was super proud of. I had more energy than I have had since having kids over 7 years ago. And I thought to myself, why not get a part-time job to help bring in some more money? On a whim, I applied to Trader Joe's, and lo and behold, I am your newest employed Trader Joe's hoe. This, of course, turned into essentially a full-time job on top of the photography, on top of shuttling the girls around to their sports and their music lessons, on top of the podcast. So something had to take a back seat, and unfortunately, that ended up being Rich Girl's Guide. But not to fear, we are back for season 2, baby, and I am fired up about this new season of the pod. And this new season of life, honestly. A quick update to new episodes. Instead of weekly new episodes on Mondays, I will be updating every other week, still on Mondays. And I will actually have some extra bonus episodes on the last Monday of every month. Don't forget to stick around to hear what those episodes will entail. I'll explain everything at the end of the episode. So now that y'all are up to date, let's get straight into it. Setting financial intentions for the new year. What exactly is a financial intention? Your intentions can be a specific goal that you set for yourself. For example, you want to make $100,000 in 2025. You might also have more broad intentions, such as being more giving with your money and your time, or having less anxiety around spending and saving money. Now, before I go over my intentions for the new year, I want you to pause the episode and write down any goals or intentions that you have for the new year. I'm using goal and intention interchangeably. Now, these do not have to be strictly money oriented. In fact, I would encourage you to write down any and all ideas that you have for this new year, because the more holistically you approach this exercise, the more likely you are to create intentions that you can actually stick to and work towards in the new year. We will organize them and cull them down as we continue throughout the episode. So go ahead and pause the episode right now and write down any and all goals that you have for 2025. Okay, so you should now have a rough outline of your goals and intentions for the new year. And just a quick reminder that these are not set in stone. There is no rule saying you can't update your goals throughout the year or eliminate some as needed. Now, the way that I like to organize my goals for the new year is to actually categorize them and to pick an overarching theme or one specific goal that all other goals align with. Some categories are financial, personal, home, family, career, health. I think that's pretty much it. Now, if that seems a little daunting and you don't want to categorize your goals like that, you would rather just have one or two main goals, please feel free to do what you are most comfortable with. Now, going back to picking an overarching theme or one specific goal that all of your other goals will align with. This is probably the most important part. Everything else can be interchanged throughout the year, but you should really have one goal that is guiding the rest of them. For example, my husband and I have a shared main goal of eliminating all debt besides our mortgage. Because we chose this as our main goal, it made some of our other goals a bit challenging or even obsolete. When I was first brain dumping possible goals, I had written down paying off debt and travel more literally right next to each other. But traveling more conflicts with the whole debt elimination thing, or so you may think right off the bat. Now, I am very passionate about traveling and seeing new places and having new experiences, which can be tough to do when you have small children. Travel for our family has definitely taken a back seat the past 7 or 8 years. So instead of completely eliminating that goal, I had to figure out a way to make it work while keeping it in touch with our main goal. This gave me an idea. Budget travel. We actually identified friends and family that live in 4 different states that we would love to travel to and explore. And we've specifically talked to these 4 people about going to visit them for literal years now. So I had an idea. Why not visit these 4 people all in the same year, travel during off-peak times, take budget airlines and budget travel when possible, and stay at their homes instead of paying for Airbnbs and hotels. Now, I'll keep you updated on whether or not this actually comes to fruition, but based on my initial budgeting cost breakdown, it is something we can absolutely manage within our budget without interfering with our debt elimination goal. Now, another goal that we have is further out, and this is saving up money for a down payment on a really nice single family home that would be in a very specific area that we live in and basically be kind of like our home place for the next 10 to 15 years. While I would love for that to be a sooner rather than later goal, it just made more sense to prioritize debt elimination before tackling this really big dream goal. So instead of crossing it off our list entirely, I became a bit of a crazy person and mapped out about 5 years worth of main goals and made it a main goal for one of those future years. And each of those years kind of piled on top of each other so that each year we were working towards those further and further out goals. Think of it as laying the foundation before you actually build the house. No pun intended. So if there's a really big goal that you are passionate about, but for whatever reason, it is just not feasible for 2025, you do not need to completely let it go. Move it forward, make a plan to make it a priority in the future, and set yourself up for success by crossing off some of those not so fun goals for this year, like eliminating debt. By filtering your intentions and secondary goals through your one overarching goal, you are way more likely to achieve and make progress toward your main goal. If you are having trouble figuring out financial goals for the new year, here are some tried and true mindful money ideas that can be specific enough to actually enact change. Contribute 15% or insert your preferred percentage of your income into your retirement account. Instead of door dashing 3 times a week, DoorDash once a week. Every time you go on a shopping haul, fill up one of those shopping bags worth of old clothes, shoes, accessories, and donate or sell to a consignment shop. Keep track of your spending on a weekly basis by using a budgeting app. Pay off a credit card or a car payment. Instead of buying new books at the bookstore, get a library card and try to only read books for free. All right, those are just a few ideas. If you have any other ones, please feel free to leave those ideas in the comment. Now that you have your main goal and complementary secondary goals, the biggest question emerges. How are you actually going to stick to your financial goals in the new year? For the past year, I've been checking in quarterly for an in-depth overall financial reflection. This includes looking at our monthly budget and whether or not we stuck to it, updating our investment account balances and keeping track of contributions into our retirement accounts, shout out Excel spreadsheets, and checking in on my progress towards my goals. Think of quarterly reflections as the opposite of burying your head in the sand. Now, when I sat down to do my quarterly financial reflections last year, I didn't always do them on the last day of the quarter. I did them kind of sporadically, like around the end of the quarter, probably more like halfway into the second quarter. I also wasn't super intentional about looking over all of my goals. I, for whatever reason, had it in my head that I was really focusing on my financial goals and not all of my goals. And so I was really keyed into my financial goals and kind of just like looked over the rest of them, which I don't think was the best holistic approach. So what I'm going to be doing this year is I actually have a note in my phone, and I did this last year. I had a note pinned to the top. So I only had like 4 or 5 notes pinned. So every time I went to my notes app, which was multiple times every single day, my 2024 goals with my little sparkly emojis was right there in the top 3 or 4. So I could always click on that and go through them. Now, did I always click on that and go through them? Not always. There were a few things in there. I kept track of how many books I was reading. So I would always flip through the rest of my goals so that I could go down and type in a new book that I had read and check it off. So one of my personal goals for this year is actually to take a long walk in the morning. I want to catch sunrise once a week, every week without fail. And during that walk, I'm thinking like about an hour and a half walk. I want to listen to really reflective music, like either meditation music or like a really good podcast. And halfway through the walk, I have this little walking space that is really cool. There's like water, so it's like really just kind of like a relaxing nature walk. And there's this bench kind of like halfway through the walk, if that makes sense. And so I want to put on something kind of relaxing, kind of get my mind off of things, get in the zone, and then sit on the bench halfway through my walk and look at my goals every single week. Look at every single goal, read each of them, because the more you read them and the more you keep them top of mind, the more likely you are to do little things throughout the week and throughout the day to actually reach those goals. If you're only looking at those goals once a quarter, which is what I really did last year, they're going to fall to the wayside. They're not going to be as top of mind. So I really want to be intentional. I really cannot fucking say that word today. I really want to be intentional about looking at those goals, keeping them top of mind, reflecting on them, updating them if needed, and hopefully that will work out for me. I'll keep you guys updated. I am also thinking that at the end of the month, I will do a monthly financial in-depth check-in as opposed to the quarterly. So it'll be a weekly overall kind of short goal reflection, a monthly in-depth financial check-in, which would entail, again, the budgeting update, updating all of my investment account balances, and really checking in on my debt goal. Again, our overarching goal is getting rid of all of our debt aside from our mortgage. So at the end of every month, I want to list out exactly how much progress we've made that month and make sure that we're on track to eliminate that debt at the end of the year. And then for my quarterly intentions, I'm not exactly sure how I want to set this up yet, but I'm thinking an in-depth overall goal audit basically, and kind of go through like what I do with my finances with all of my other goals. So for example, the budgeting travel goal. At the end of the first quarter, I want to see if we've actually done one of our trips. The nice thing, and this was not intentional at all, was that we had picked out 4 places that we want to visit. So it's 4 different states within the US that we can go to, visit with our friends and family. And so that kind of gives us a really easy way to do 1 trip a quarter. And so hopefully at the end of each quarter, we can check that off. And we can also say that we didn't go over budget with that travel. Now, is it actually gonna happen? I don't know. I'll keep you guys updated. One other quick thing, you guys know this about me by this point, but I love to set a reminder for myself. So just by saying I'm gonna do weekly walks, monthly check-ins, and quarterly reviews, doesn't mean I'm actually going to remember to do them. So I have already set these up on my phone. I'm gonna set up a weekly reminder to pick a day to do my sunrise walk. And that will literally give me and my type A personality the option to like click it and say, yes, I have picked out my day. Same thing for the monthly financial reviews. On the last day of the month, I'll have an automatic reminder pop up to remind me to actually do my financial review. And it'll keep bugging me until I actually say, yes, I have done this. And same with my quarterly reflections. So if that's something that would be helpful for you, either on your calendar or as a reminder on your phone, I would highly recommend setting all of that up now so that it's on autopilot for the rest of 2025. Now, before we wrap up today, I have something I am so excited about. Introducing Rich Girl's Guide Book Club. This is going to be a year-long monthly book club, and buckle up because I am pumped for the lineup. We are going to be reading 12 books, 1 book per month, and the goal is for each book to kind of build on top of the previous one. We will start by learning the basics about personal finance and habit formation, and then use that foundational knowledge to dive deeper into different financial topics and different ways of thinking when it comes to money. Last year, I had a goal to read more, and this is a goal that I've had for years that never really stuck until 2024. I had a goal of reading 24 books, and I ended up finishing 39. So if you have a goal of reading more and you want to step it up when it comes to personal finance, you are going to want to join this book club. Now, we are going to keep it super simple. We are doing monthly check-in videos on YouTube on the last Monday of the month. And that's pretty much it. You don't need to sign up through a link. You don't need to give me your email. There's really not going to be any babysitting or hand-holding to force your participation. Now, that's not to say that I'm just giving you a book title without any context or follow-up. I have specifically crafted this series of books to build on top of each other, and I will be giving you specific notes and hints about what to look for before you read. And then, of course, at the end of the month, I will be leading an in-depth review and discussion of the book. I'll go over my personal favorite chapters and pages to refer back to, giving you ideas on how you can implement these themes into your own life, and so on and so forth. And obviously, I would love for you guys to start discussions in the comments and give your own thoughts, because everybody is going to have different messages that they take away. And I think the more that we can discuss it and build a little bit of a community, the better it's going to be for everyone. Now, while I'm not going to be sending you weekly reminder emails to read your book because we're adults here, I would encourage you to set this as one of your goals for the new year. Complete the Rich Girls Guide Book Club. Now, in order to help you remember, you can subscribe to my channel and hit the notification bell so that the monthly check-in videos automatically show up on your feed. I may potentially also post some shorter videos throughout the month on Instagram and TikTok, just giving an update on where I am with the book of the month. So if that's something that would be helpful, you can follow me at Rich Girls Guide Podcast on either of those platforms. So for our first book, our January pick, I have chosen The Power of Habit by Charles Duhigg. Now, this book is actually not finance related, and that was a conscious decision on my part. This is probably easily in my top 5 books that I have ever read. I've read it multiple times. I try to read it every couple of years, and the first time that I read this, I felt like I won a lottery ticket. The information is gold. The way it is written is captivating, it's motivational, it's factual, and will lead to actual change if you're open to it. Now, will this magically fix all of your problems and change your habits overnight and turn you into a super version of yourself? Just like anything else in life, the principles that you learn in this book will need to be applied, and you will have to actively work at changing your habits and doing some critical thinking before anything changes. The reason why I wanted to start with this book is because it will shed light on the way the human brain works and why we do some of the things, a lot of the things that we do. Undoubtedly, a lot of these things will have to do with money. Now, after you read this book, you might not connect the dots just yet on how this relates to your finances. And don't worry, I'll make that part of the discussion for this month's review. And it will absolutely come back to help later in the year while we read more finance books. I promise you will not regret reading this one. A couple of pointers while reading this book. I would highly recommend keeping some kind of journal or using the notes app on your phone to take notes while you read it. You are going to see parallels with your life and some of the short stories that the author goes through, which will undoubtedly lead you to have at least one epiphany or aha moment. When you have these aha moments, you will want to stop reading, take a few moments to let your wheels turn and kind of flush out your thoughts, and then write those thoughts down. You do not need to have a fully fleshed out idea, and you definitely don't need a solution. Just write down what you're thinking, and you can go back to this later on in the book or during our end of the month book review. Even just recognizing that something you do has become an unconscious habit, good, bad, or indifferent, is something worth recognizing. I, for one, had several aha moments the first time I read this book. I realized I had a few truly terrible, completely unconscious habits that occurred first thing in the morning, every single morning, that led me down a rabbit hole of other small bad decisions throughout my day. And that ended up having a negative effect on my day-to-day life. Now, reversing those habits, figuring out new habits to replace them with, and then actually implementing that change took a lot of time and effort. It did not take a month. It did not take 21 days. It took years. But I can say that years later, I have completely transformed those habits into new, beneficial, conscious habits that have actually stuck. I'll explain that a bit more when we read the book at the end of this month. Now, this book is 298 pages, which means between now, January 6th, and the last Monday of January, January 27th, when the review episode is dropping, if you read 14 pages every single day for 21 days, you will finish this book. I promise that your local library will have a paperback version for free. They will also most likely have the audiobook and electronic version available as well. And if you subscribe to Spotify, the audiobook is actually included in your subscription. Now, the audio version is 11 hours and 10 minutes, meaning you can take a 32-minute hawk or walk for 21 days and finish this book. So there's really no excuses here, are there? All right, guys, I am so excited to be back on camera, back in the pod, back in your ears, and I'm super excited for this book club if you couldn't tell already. I have a lot of really great content geared up. I have actually mapped out the entire first quarter of this year, so I'm super excited. There's going to be a lot of great information coming your ways. As always, if you guys have any questions, you can shoot me an email. My email is in the show notes. You can drop a comment. You can follow me on social media media. And as always, if you subscribe to my YouTube channel, I would be eternally grateful. I will catch you in 2 weeks for a brand new episode. Till then, I hope you have a wonderful week. Later, rich girls.